I grew up in the warm but sometimes complicated streets of Denver, Colorado, where family life wasn't always simple, but it always had heart. My name is Emily Johnson, and this story is about the man who stepped into my life when my world felt like it was falling apart, my stepdad, Michael Carter. It began one ordinary evening in late autumn. The trees had shed their last golden leaves, and the cold air of November was slipping in through the cracks of our little house. Mom had just come home from her long shift at the hospital. She was exhausted, barely able to keep her eyes open, but she managed to hug me tight as she set her bag down. I was only 16 at the time, and life had been hard since my real dad passed away 3 years earlier. He'd been everything to me, my coach, my hero, my anchor. His sudden heart attack left a hole in our family, and for a long time, Mom and I struggled to pick up the pieces. That was when Michael came into our lives. At first, I wasn't sure about him. He was kind, soft-spoken, and always smiling, but I kept my guard up. To me, no one could replace Dad. I didn't want to like him, let alone think of him as family. But life has a way of surprising you. That evening, Michael came through the door carrying groceries. He looked tired but cheerful, humming some old country song as he set the bags on the kitchen counter. "Hey, kiddo," he said warmly. "How was school today?" I shrugged, pretending not to care. "It was fine." He chuckled. "Just fine? That doesn't sound convincing." I rolled my eyes. "Do you expect me to give you a whole report or something?" He laughed again and started unpacking the groceries. I noticed he had bought ingredients for chili, which had been Dad's favorite. That annoyed me a little. It felt like he was trying too hard. Mom, who had been listening from the couch, said softly, "Emily, don't be so hard on him. He's just trying to make us a nice dinner." Michael smiled at her, then turned to me. "Actually, I'm starving. Haven't had a bite since breakfast. Thought chili might hit the spot for all of us." "Chili?" I muttered. "Dad used to make the best chili. You won't get it right." I regretted the words the moment they left my mouth. Michael's smile faltered just slightly, but instead of getting upset, he said something that completely disarmed me. "Well, then you'll just have to help me make it right." "Deal." For the first time, I saw something in his eyes: respect, patience, and a willingness to let me be part of the process. I hesitated, then slowly nodded. That evening turned into something I'll never forget. We chopped onions together, our eyes watering until we laughed so hard we could barely see. He let me add the spices, even though I accidentally spilled too much paprika. When the pot began to simmer, the smell filled the whole house, warm and comforting, like a hug from the past. As we ate, I noticed Michael didn't just cook to feed himself. He cooked to bring us together. Every bite was a reminder that family wasn't just about blood. It was about love, patience, and small acts of kindness. But the story doesn't end with that chili dinner. It was just the beginning. Over the months, Michael kept showing up in ways I never expected. He came to my basketball games, cheering louder than anyone else in the bleachers. He stayed up late helping me with math homework, even though he wasn't great at it. And when I got my first part-time job at a local bookstore, he was the first one to show up, buying a novel he probably didn't even want, just so he could say he was proud of me. Still, there were days when I pushed him away. Grief doesn't go away quickly, and sometimes I'd snap at him, accusing him of trying to replace my dad. One night, after I yelled at him for sitting in Dad's old recliner, I stormed off to my room. Later, I overheard him talking quietly to Mom. "I don't want to take his place," Michael whispered. "I just want to be here for her. That's all." His voice cracked with sincerity, and for the first time, I realized he wasn't my enemy. He was someone who cared deeply, not only about Mom, but about me. The true turning point came during the harsh winter that year. Denver was hit with a massive snowstorm, and our power went out for 2 days. We had no heat, no lights, and only a few canned goods left in the pantry. Mom had to work double shifts at the hospital to cover for sick nurses, which meant it was just me and Michael at home. The second night, I was cold, hungry, and cranky. I wrapped myself in 3 blankets and complained nonstop. Finally, Michael said, "All right, kiddo, come with me." We went into the kitchen, and he pulled out a camping stove from the garage. He set it up on the counter, carefully lit it, and grinned. "Tonight, we're making pancakes." I stared at him. Pancakes? In the middle of a blackout. Exactly, he said. When the world gets dark, that's when you make something sweet. I couldn't help but laugh. Together we whisked up the batter with what little we had, flipping the pancakes in the dim glow of a flashlight. They weren't perfect, but they were warm and delicious. As we ate by candlelight, Michael looked at me and said, "Emily, I know I can't ever be your dad, but I hope someday you'll let me be your family." Something shifted in me that night. For the first time, I saw him not as a replacement, but as an addition, someone who made our broken family whole again. Years later, when I walked across the stage to get my high school diploma, it was Michael's voice I heard cheering the loudest. When I went off to college, it was Michael who drove me, carrying my boxes up 3 flights of stairs without complaint. And when I got my first apartment in Chicago, it was Michael who showed up with a set of tools and a giant box of groceries, just like that very first night. Looking back, I realize now what I didn't then. The night he said he was hungry wasn't really about food. It was about connection. Michael wasn't just feeding himself. He was feeding a family that desperately needed hope, comfort, and love. Today, I probably call him not just my stepdad, but my dad. Because in every way that matters, that's exactly who he is. And every time I make chili or pancakes, I smile. Because I know he taught me something I'll carry forever. Family isn't about who you lose. It's about who shows up hungry to love you and stays.